Hello, dear seekers of wisdom. Welcome back to Lotus Light Teachings, a space where we explore deep insights from Buddhist philosophy to help you cultivate inner strength, resilience, and clarity in life. Today, we're diving into a powerful topic: how to stay strong in every situation. 10 Buddhist principles for resilience. Have you ever felt like life keeps testing you, throwing unexpected challenges, criticism, and chaos your way? What if there was a way to stay calm, unshaken, and deeply grounded no matter what happens? Buddhism teaches us that true strength doesn't come from controlling the outside world, but from mastering the mind. In this video, we'll explore 10 timeless principles that will help you find unshakable inner peace even in difficult moments, respond to life's struggles with wisdom and calmness, build resilience so negativity can't touch you. Get ready to shift your mindset, embrace a new way of seeing challenges, and develop the fortitude of a Buddhist monk in your own life. Let's begin. Imagine standing in the middle of a raging storm. The wind howls, rain lashes against your skin, and the sky roars with thunder. Most people would panic, seek shelter, or try desperately to fight against the elements. But picture someone standing still, completely calm, eyes closed, breathing deeply, unshaken. Now ask yourself, what if you could be that person in the storms of life? What if no criticism, failure, or chaos could disturb your peace? Buddhist wisdom teaches us that life will never be free of challenges, but you can learn to move through them with grace. This isn't about ignoring reality or pretending problems don't exist. It's about developing an inner state so steady that nothing can break you. The Buddha himself faced betrayal, criticism, hardship, and even threats to his life. But he remained unwavering, teaching others the path to peace. Today, you will learn 10 transformative principles that can help you let go of emotional reactions that drain your energy. Build a mindset so strong that negativity bounces off you. Navigate life with confidence, wisdom, and deep inner peace. So take a deep breath. Let's step into this journey together. Throughout this video, we will explore practical Buddhist techniques, each one offering a key to unlocking your personal power. Here's a glimpse of what's ahead. Clarity of purpose. How knowing your why gives you strength. Emotional mastery. Why nothing can hurt you unless you allow it to. The secret of detachment. Learning not to take things personally. Guarding your mind. Becoming selective with your thoughts. Overcoming fear and shame. Breaking free from mental limitations. Turning pain into a teacher. How to use every experience for growth. Living by an unshakable code. Why ethics give you lasting stability. Going with the flow. Learning from nature's wisdom. The power of gratitude. How it can become your greatest weapon. Each of these principles has the power to transform your mindset and daily life. 1. The power of firm purpose. Why you must know your why. There's a moment in everyone's life when the world feels like it's spinning too fast and you don't know which direction to go. Have you ever felt like you were just existing rather than actually living? Like you're caught in an endless loop of responsibilities, expectations, and obligations, but deep down, something feels missing? I've been there. And if you have too, let's take a deep breath together. There's a reason why some people walk through life with unshakable determination while others crumble under pressure. It's not luck. It's not intelligence. It's purpose. The force that separates those who just survive from those who truly thrive. One of my favorite stories about purpose comes from Oprah Winfrey. Growing up in poverty, facing relentless hardship and discrimination, she could have let life break her. But she didn't. Why? Because she had a why. A clear purpose. She knew her voice had power, and she was determined to use it to inspire and uplift others. Every obstacle in her life became fuel to push her forward rather than an excuse to stop. Think about that for a second. Imagine if she had let life's difficulties define her. The world would have lost one of its greatest storytellers and motivators. Now, let's bring this closer to home. What is your why? Most of us go through life reacting instead of intentionally choosing our path. We get a job because it pays the bills. We enter relationships out of convenience or societal expectations. We settle for good enough because we don't even know what we truly want. But when you have a strong why, the world stops feeling so chaotic. Challenges don't knock you down as easily because you're anchored to something bigger than yourself. Think about someone training for a marathon. If they're running just for fun, the pain of training will probably make them quit. But if they're running to raise money for a cause they deeply believe in, every mile, no matter how painful, has meaning. That's what purpose does. It turns struggle into growth. It turns setbacks into lessons. I challenge you to take just 5 minutes every morning to reflect on your deeper why. Ask yourself, what truly excites me? What impact do I want to leave on this world? If I had no fear, what would I be doing? Finding your purpose isn't about having all the answers right away. It's about starting the journey. It's about asking the right questions and daring to pursue the things that set your soul on fire. The moment you discover your purpose, everything changes. You stop drifting and you start creating a life that matters. 2. Becoming untouchable. Mastering emotional control. Let's be honest. Humans are emotional creatures. We feel things deeply. And that's a good thing until it isn't. Picture this, you're having a great day. Everything is going well. Then, out of nowhere, someone throws a cruel comment your way. Maybe it's a coworker questioning your abilities. Maybe it's a family member making a snide remark about your choices. Maybe it's just a stranger online spewing negativity. What happens next? For most of us, the immediate reaction is anger or hurt. We replay the words over and over, letting them ruin our mood. We dwell on it for hours, sometimes even days. But what if I told you, no one can hurt you without your consent? That's not just a nice quote. It's a truth that Buddhism has taught for centuries. Think about it. When someone insults you, their words are just sounds in the air. They have no power unless you give them power. Let me share a story. There's a famous tale of Gautama Buddha walking through a village where a man began to insult him relentlessly. The man called him names, questioned his teachings, and tried to provoke a reaction. But Buddha remained calm. After some time, the man, confused, asked, "Why are you not angry?" Buddha smiled and responded, "If someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does it belong?" The lesson? Insults are like gifts. If you don't accept them, they stay with the giver. That moment changed how I saw criticism forever. Now, I'm not saying you'll never feel hurt again. We're human. But you can learn to pause before reacting. Next time someone says something hurtful, try this. 1. Take a deep breath. Instead of reacting immediately, give yourself a moment to process. 2. Ask yourself, does this define me? More often than not, it doesn't. 3. Decide whether this deserves your energy. Not every battle is worth fighting. Sometimes silence is the most powerful response. I remember a personal experience where this lesson saved me. A few years ago, I was working on a project that meant everything to me. I poured my heart and soul into it. But when I presented it, someone dismissed it without even looking at it properly. Their words stung. My initial reaction was anger. How could they not see the effort I put in? But then I remembered Buddha's lesson. I chose not to accept their words. I told myself, their opinion does not change my worth. Their reaction does not define my work. And you know what? The moment I let go of their negativity, I felt free. Completely free. When you master emotional control, you become untouchable. Not in a cold, detached way, but in a powerful, self-assured way. Because the truth is, no one has the power to steal your peace unless you let them. So, as we wrap up, let me leave you with this. What if starting today, you stopped letting outside opinions dictate your inner peace? What if, instead of reacting, you chose to rise above? The world is full of noise. There will always be critics, challenges, and distractions. But when you have a strong purpose and unshakable emotional control, nothing, not even the strongest storm, can knock you down. Now, I want to hear from you. What's one area in your life where you can start applying these lessons today? Drop a comment and let's start a conversation. And if this resonated with you, like, share, and subscribe for more content on building a life of peace, strength, and purpose. Remember, you are stronger than you think. Stay mindful. Stay powerful. Keep growing. Until next time. 3. Insults and offense. What if you stopped taking things personally? There was a time when I used to let words cut me like a knife. One comment, one passive-aggressive remark, one judgmental look, and my mind would spiral into endless self-doubt. Have you ever had a moment like that? Where one careless word from someone could ruin your entire day? Maybe even your entire week? If so, I want to share something that changed my life. Years ago, I stumbled upon a story about a monk. A man insulted him relentlessly, throwing every bitter word he could muster. But the monk just sat there, calm, unmoved. Finally, the frustrated man asked, "Why aren't you angry?" The monk smiled and replied, "If someone offers you a gift and you do not accept it, to whom does it belong?" That story stayed with me. At first, it sounded too simple. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized. We are the ones who decide whether an insult has power over us or not. We live in a world where people have opinions. Lots of them. Everyone has something to say about what you do, how you look, how you speak, who you love, how you live. And no matter how much you try to please, adjust, or adapt, there will always be someone who finds fault. Look at the greatest figures in history. Martin Luther King Jr., Mahatma Gandhi, Mother Teresa, even Jesus. These were people who dedicated their lives to peace, love, and justice, yet they were still criticized, ridiculed, and insulted. If even the most selfless souls were not spared from the harshness of judgment, why do we expect that we will be? I think of Taylor Swift, a woman who turned criticism into fuel. For years, she was the subject of relentless media scrutiny. Every breakup, every career move, every choice was dissected under the public eye. There was a time when she almost disappeared from the industry, weighed down by the toxicity of people's words. But what did she do? She came back stronger, embracing every insult, turning negativity into powerful music, and reclaiming her own narrative. That's what I want for you. To take back your power. When someone insults you, it often says more about them than about you. A happy, secure, fulfilled person doesn't feel the need to tear others down. People criticize from their own wounds, their own fears, their own insecurities. Once you realize this, you start to see their words for what they are. Just projections, not reflections of your worth. But let's be real. Knowing this and practicing it are two different things. I remember a moment when I was on the receiving end of a deeply personal insult. It came from someone I respected, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. My immediate reaction was anger, then sadness, then an overwhelming urge to defend myself. But then I paused. I thought of the monk's story. And instead of reacting, I asked myself, is this worth my peace? The answer was no. I could either carry their words with me, letting them weigh me down, or I could leave them with the person who spoke them. I chose the latter. And something amazing happened. I felt free. The moment you stop taking things personally, you become untouchable. You no longer need validation from every person you meet. You no longer let a single rude comment dictate your mood. You walk through life with an unshakable confidence, knowing that other people's words are just that. Words. Think about this. How much of your life has been shaped by what others have said about you? How many times have you held back from doing something because you were afraid of what people would think? How many sleepless nights have you had replaying an insult that, in reality, was nothing more than noise? What if, starting today, you decided to let it all go? What if, instead of reacting, you smiled like the monk and chose not to accept the gift of insult? This doesn't mean you ignore real problems. It doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. It means you choose what deserves your energy. And most of the time, negativity doesn't. The world will keep talking. People will keep forming opinions. But you get to decide what matters. So, I'll leave you with this. The next time someone tries to bring you down with words, ask yourself, do I really want to carry this with me? Or will I leave it where it belongs? The choice, my friend, is always yours. And if this resonates with you, take a deep breath. You are stronger than their words. You always have been. Now it's time to believe it. 4. Handling gossip and negative talk. The power of self-trust. It's a strange thing, isn't it? How quickly words can travel. How fast a misunderstanding can morph into a full-blown story. How a single, careless whisper can turn into a wildfire, spreading rumors and shaping the way people see us. Sometimes without us even realizing it. I remember the first time I learned how cruel gossip could be. I was 12. A group of classmates started a rumor about me. Something small at first, a silly lie. But within days, it had snowballed into something ridiculous, something that made me feel exposed, humiliated, and deeply misunderstood. I walked into school feeling like the weight of their words was crushing me. If you've ever been on the receiving end of gossip, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It doesn't matter how old you are, how successful you become, or how well you carry yourself. People will talk. They will speculate. They will assume. They will create their own versions of your story without knowing the first thing about who you really are. But here's the thing, their words don't define you. Your actions do. One of the greatest lessons I've learned, and one that Buddhism teaches so well, is that truth doesn't need defending. It stands on its own. It endures. It outlasts the noise. I think about the story of Buddha, a man whose life was built on peace and wisdom, yet even he was not spared from slander. People accused him of things he never did, spread lies about his character, and tried to discredit him. But what did he do? Nothing. He did not waste time defending himself. He did not go around trying to correct every false rumor. He simply continued being who he was. And over time, the truth revealed itself, because it always does. Imagine that. Imagine having so much faith in who you are that you don't even feel the need to explain yourself. Can you imagine how freeing that would be? I once read about Michelle Obama's experience with this. As First Lady, she was subjected to relentless criticism. Sometimes about things as trivial as what she wore, and other times about her character, her intelligence, her intentions. And yet, in an interview, she said something that stuck with me. When they go low, we go high. She understood something profound. Engaging with negativity only drags you down to its level. So, she didn't waste time arguing with people who were committed to misunderstanding her. She didn't let gossip derail her mission. She kept moving forward, letting her actions speak for themselves. And that's exactly what I want you to take away from this. If you've ever been hurt by gossip or false narratives about you, I want you to know you don't owe anyone a defense of your character. You don't have to chase after rumors trying to correct them. You don't have to exhaust yourself proving who you are to people who never cared to understand you in the first place. What you do have to do is trust yourself. That's the hard part, isn't it? Trusting that the people who matter already know the truth. Trusting that time will reveal what words try to distort. Trusting that your life, your integrity, and your actions will always be louder than someone else's opinion. There was a time when I let people's words dictate how I felt about myself. I would hear a rumor or sense that someone misunderstood me and immediately feel this urgent need to correct the narrative. I thought if I just explained myself enough, if I just worked hard enough to clear my name, people would see the truth. But you know what I learned? People believe what they want to believe. If someone wants to see you in a negative light, nothing you say will change that. If someone is committed to misunderstanding you, no amount of explanation will make a difference. So instead of trying to control the narrative, I learned to let it go. The people who truly see you, know you, and respect you, they don't need explanations. They recognize the essence of who you are no matter what noise surrounds you. The ones who are swayed by gossip, they were never truly on your side to begin with. When I stopped reacting, I found peace. And I want that for you too. So the next time someone spreads falsehoods about you, I want you to pause. I want you to ask yourself, is this worth my energy? Does defending myself change the truth? Will the people who truly know me believe this anyway? Most of the time, the answer is no. So instead of chasing after every rumor, chasing after every opinion, learn to sit still. Learn to let your actions speak. Learn to trust that who you are is enough. And that time will take care of the rest. Because it always does. So tell me, what would your life look like if you stopped taking every criticism to heart? What kind of peace could you create if you chose to trust yourself instead? 5. Guarding your mind. Be selective with your thoughts. There's a voice inside your head. You know the one I'm talking about. The one that whispers self-doubt just as you're about to take a leap of faith. The one that replays every mistake you've ever made like a song stuck on repeat. The one that tells you you're not enough, not ready, not capable. I used to listen to that voice. I let it shape my reality, believing that my fears and insecurities were truths instead of just passing thoughts. It wasn't until I learned one of the most profound lessons from Buddhism that everything shifted. Your mind is a garden. Whatever you plant will grow. At first, this seemed too simple. But the more I sat with it, the more I realized the weight of its truth. Think about it. If you fill your mind with fear, doubt, and negativity, those thoughts will grow, tangling around your confidence like weeds in a beautiful garden. But if you plant seeds of gratitude, strength, and wisdom, over time, they take root, creating a landscape of resilience and peace. Buddha once said, "What you think, you become." I think about that every time my thoughts start spiraling. Every time I find myself caught in worry about the future or regret about the past. Because the truth is, our minds are constantly absorbing, constantly creating the world we live in. Whether we realize it or not. Look at some of the most successful and fulfilled people in the world. Oprah Winfrey, for example, grew up in unimaginable poverty. She faced rejection, trauma, and setbacks that would have broken most people. But she understood something most of us don't. She controlled the narrative inside her mind. Instead of feeding the thoughts that told her she was unworthy, she cultivated beliefs that empowered her. She trained her mind to focus on possibility, on growth, on the undeniable truth that she had something valuable to offer the world. And the result? A woman who not only changed her own life but impacted millions. This is not just about positive thinking. It's about selective thinking. It's about choosing, moment by moment, what kind of thoughts you allow to take up space in your mind. I learned this lesson the hard way. A few years ago, I was going through one of the darkest times in my life. My confidence was shattered, my dreams felt out of reach, and every time I tried to move forward, my own mind pulled me back with whispers of doubt. You're not good enough. You'll never get past this. Everyone else is doing better than you. I didn't realize it then, but I was feeding the weeds. Every time I entertained those thoughts, they grew stronger, wrapping around me like chains. Then one day, I had a conversation that changed everything. A mentor of mine, someone I deeply respected, asked me a question I'll never forget. If you could hear your thoughts out loud, would you still be friends with yourself? That hit me like a punch to the gut. I had spent so much time being kind to others, offering encouragement and support, yet I had been treating myself like an enemy. The things I told myself were things I would never say to a loved one. That was the moment I decided to become the gatekeeper of my mind. It wasn't easy at first. Years of negative self-talk don't disappear overnight. But I started small. Every morning, instead of reaching for my phone and scrolling through social media, I took a few moments to set an intention for the day. I asked myself, what kind of thoughts do I want to cultivate today? Will this thought bring me peace or distress? Am I feeding my fears or my strength? And little by little, things started to change. I started being more mindful of what I consumed. Not just food, but content. I noticed that certain news headlines, certain conversations, certain people would leave me feeling drained, anxious, or unworthy. And I made the conscious choice to limit my exposure to them. It's not about ignoring reality. It's about protecting your energy. Social media, for example, is designed to keep you hooked, but so much of it is an illusion. We scroll through highlight reels, comparing our behind the scenes to someone else's perfect moment. It's no wonder so many of us feel like we're falling behind. So I started setting boundaries. Less scrolling, more mindfulness, more time in nature, in books, in conversations that actually nourished me. And the most powerful shift? I stopped believing every thought I had. Because here's something most people don't realize, your thoughts are not always true. Just because your mind tells you something doesn't mean it's reality. And once you understand that, once you start questioning your thoughts instead of blindly accepting them, you regain control. If you're someone who struggles with overthinking, with anxiety, with feeling stuck in cycles of negativity, I want you to try something today. When a thought comes up that makes you feel small or unworthy, ask yourself, would I say this to my best friend? If the answer is no, let it go. You are not your doubts. You are not your fears. You are not the voice in your head that tells you you can't. You are the one who gets to choose which thoughts you water and which ones you let wither away. Imagine if, starting today, you became fiercely intentional about what you allowed into your mind. Imagine if you stopped feeding the weeds and started growing a garden of self-belief, of peace, of resilience. How different would your life look a year from now? Because the truth is, your thoughts shape your reality. So the real question is, what are you planting? 6. Overcoming fear and shame. Breaking the chains that hold you back. There was a time in my life when fear controlled everything. I don't mean the kind of fear that keeps you from touching a hot stove or walking down a dark alley alone. I mean the silent, invisible kind. The fear of not being enough, the fear of failure, the fear of judgment. It's the kind of fear that makes you second-guess your dreams before you even try. The kind that whispers, who do you think you are to do this? The kind that keeps you small, not because you lack potential, but because you've convinced yourself that stepping into the unknown is too risky. And then there's shame. If fear is the shadow of the future, shame is the ghost of the past. It lingers, reminding you of mistakes, of times you fell short, of moments you wish you could rewrite. It tells you that no matter how much you grow, you are still defined by who you once were. But here's the truth that Buddhism teaches us. Fear exists only in the future. Shame exists only in the past. But peace? Peace exists only in the present. I didn't fully understand this until I heard a story about a young monk who was terrified of public speaking. His teacher handed him a glass of water and told him to hold it in front of the class. The monk's hands shook from nervousness, but the water remained in the glass. Do you see? The teacher asked. Your hands tremble, but the water does not spill. Your fear does not define your ability. You can still carry the water. That was the moment it clicked for me. We can be afraid and still move forward. We can feel shame and still grow beyond it. Fear is not a stop sign. It's just a signal that we are stepping into something unfamiliar. I think of Michael Jordan, one of the greatest athletes of all time. Most people don't know this, but he was cut from his high school basketball team. Imagine that. Michael Jordan told he wasn't good enough. He could have let that shame define him. He could have believed the coach's judgment and given up. Instead, he turned his fear of failure into fuel. He practiced harder. He trained relentlessly. He didn't let that one moment dictate his future. How many of us have let one failure, one rejection, one mistake convince us that we're not meant for something bigger? I remember a time when I let fear hold me back. It was years ago, and I had an opportunity to give a speech in front of a large audience. My heart raced at just the thought of it. What if I forgot my words? What if people judged me? What if I embarrassed myself? So I declined. I told myself it wasn't the right time, that I needed more preparation. But the truth? I was just scared. And that's the thing about fear. It disguises itself as logic. It tells us we're not ready, that we need more time, that we're waiting for the right moment. But deep down, we know the truth. We are just afraid. A year later, I watched someone else give that same speech. They were no more qualified than I was. They weren't more talented or more experienced. But they had something I didn't. The willingness to do it scared. That was when I realized something heartbreaking. I wasn't afraid of failure. I was afraid of being seen failing. And that's when I decided I would rather fail publicly than live my life wondering what could have been. I started saying yes to things before I felt ready. I took on challenges that terrified me, and each time I realized what that monk learned. My hands might shake, but I can still carry the water. Here's what I want you to know. You are not your past mistakes. You are not your worst moments. You are not the sum of every failure, rejection, or misstep. You are who you choose to be right now. If fear has been holding you back, I want you to ask yourself, what would you do if you weren't afraid? What dreams would you chase? What risks would you take? What version of yourself would you finally step into? And then, I want you to do something radical. I want you to do it anyway. Fear will still be there. Shame might still whisper, but neither of them have power over you unless you let them. Your hands might shake, but the water will not spill. So tell me, what's one thing you've been afraid to do? And what's stopping you from doing it right now? 7. Viewing everyone as a teacher. Growth through challenges. There was a time when I believed that difficult people were simply obstacles. Annoying, frustrating, and best avoided. You know the type. The coworker who always seems to undermine you. The friend who disappears when you need them. The stranger who cuts you off in traffic as if you don't even exist. But then, life humbled me. I was in my mid-20s, struggling with a toxic work environment where every day felt like a battlefield. There was one colleague in particular, let's call him James, who seemed to go out of his way to make my job harder. He questioned my decisions in meetings, took credit for my ideas, and somehow always managed to make me feel small. First, I hated him. Every interaction left me fuming. I carried the resentment home with me, replaying conversations in my head, thinking of all the things I should have said. Then, one day, a mentor of mine gave me a piece of advice that changed everything. Instead of asking why this is happening to you, ask what it's teaching you. I'll be honest, it was the last thing I wanted to hear. But later that night, as I sat with those words, I started to see things differently. What if James wasn't just a nuisance but a teacher? What if, instead of resenting him, I tried to learn from him? It wasn't easy, but I started shifting my mindset. Instead of reacting to his criticism with defensiveness, I looked for grains of truth in his words. Instead of getting angry when he took credit for my work, I learned to document everything and advocate for myself. And slowly, something remarkable happened. He stopped bothering me, or rather, he stopped having power over me. That's when I realized, the people who challenge us the most are often our greatest teachers. Buddhism teaches that every person we meet is a mirror, reflecting something back to us. Some show us kindness, love, and generosity, reminding us of the beauty in humanity. Others show us impatience, arrogance, and cruelty, reminding us of the work we still need to do within ourselves. I think of Nelson Mandela, a man who spent 27 years in prison, yet emerged with a heart full of forgiveness. If anyone had the right to be consumed by resentment, it was him. But he didn't see his captors as enemies. He saw them as teachers. They taught him patience, resilience, and ultimately, the power of peace over revenge. What if we all viewed our struggles that way? Imagine looking at every difficult person in your life, not as a source of pain, but as a lesson in disguise. The friend who betrayed you? They taught you discernment. The boss who undervalued you? They taught you self-worth. The heartbreak that shattered you? Taught you what love truly means. Even those who hurt you have something to teach, not because their actions were justified, but because pain has a way of carving out space for growth. I used to think life happened to me. Now I realize it happens for me. So the next time you find yourself frustrated with someone, ask, what is this teaching me? How can I grow from this? And watch how your perspective shifts. Because when you start seeing everyone as a teacher, nothing is wasted, not even the pain. 8. Unshakable ethics, a moral code as your compass. Life is full of choices. Some are easy, coffee or tea, gym or Netflix, takeout or home-cooked dinner. Others, not so much. I remember the first time my morals were truly tested. I had just started a new job, and my manager pulled me aside with what he called a small favor, turned out to be anything but small. He wanted me to manipulate some numbers on a report. Nothing too serious, just a harmless adjustment to make the company look better to investors. I knew it was wrong, but I was new, eager to prove myself, and terrified of disappointing my boss. I remember standing there, my stomach twisting into knots, wondering, do I do what's easy or do I do what's right? That's the thing about ethics. They don't matter when things are simple. They matter when things are hard. I politely declined. My boss wasn't thrilled, but I kept my integrity intact. And in the long run, that decision earned me more respect than I ever expected. A strong moral compass isn't just about knowing right from wrong. It's about choosing it, even when it's inconvenient. Look at Rosa Parks. She could have moved to the back of the bus. It would have been easier. It would have avoided conflict. But she didn't. She made a decision rooted in what was right, not what was convenient. And that single act of defiance sparked a revolution. Every day, life gives us moments to choose who we are. Will we be honest even when no one is watching? Will we be kind even when it's not reciprocated? Will we stand for something even when it costs us? I think of the 5 ethical precepts in Buddhism. 1. Do no harm. 2. Be truthful. 3. Respect what is not yours. 4. Honor your commitments. 5. Keep your mind clear. Simple? Yes. Easy? No. Because the world will test you. It will offer shortcuts, temptations, and justifications. It will tell you that bending the rules is fine as long as you don't get caught. But here's what I've learned. Your reputation is what others think of you. Your integrity is what you think of yourself. And at the end of the day, you're the only one who has to live with your choices. A strong moral code is like the roots of a tree. When they run deep, the storms of life can't shake you. So the next time you're faced with a tough decision, ask yourself, who do I want to be in this moment? Will this choice make me proud of myself tomorrow? Because in the end, the only thing that truly defines us is what we stand for. 9. Living according to nature, going with the flow. There's a river near my childhood home, one that I used to sit by for hours as a kid. I'd watch how the water moved, effortlessly, without hesitation. It didn't stop for the rocks in its path, didn't try to push them away. It simply flowed around them. I never thought much about it back then, but now, after years of trying to control every aspect of my life, I finally understand what that river was teaching me. Nature doesn't resist. It adapts. Think about it. The wind doesn't argue with the trees. It moves through them. The seasons don't fight change. They embrace it. Leaves don't cling to branches when autumn arrives. They let go, knowing it's part of the cycle. Yet, as humans, we struggle. We hold on to things long past their time. Relationships that no longer serve us, jobs that drain our spirit, expectations that suffocate us. We fight against change, believing that if we just try hard enough, we can force life to go exactly the way we planned. But life isn't meant to be forced. It's meant to be flowed with. There's a concept in Buddhism called Wu Wei, which translates to effortless action. It doesn't mean doing nothing. It means aligning yourself with the natural rhythm of life instead of constantly battling it. I think of Bruce Lee, a man known for his physical power but also his deep wisdom. He once said, "Be like water, my friend." Water takes the shape of whatever it encounters. If poured into a cup, it becomes the cup. If blocked by a rock, it doesn't resist. It finds another path. Imagine if we lived that way. Instead of fearing change, we embraced it. Instead of forcing relationships, we let them unfold naturally. Instead of resisting life's challenges, we adapted and moved forward. I remember when I lost a job I thought I'd have forever. At first, I resisted. I clung to the past, replaying the moment over and over, trying to rewrite it in my mind. But once I stopped resisting and trusted the flow of life, something amazing happened. Doors opened. New opportunities arose. Ones I would have never considered had I still been stuck in the old version of my life. Letting go isn't giving up. It's making space for something better. The next time life throws an unexpected challenge your way, ask yourself, am I flowing with this change, or am I resisting it? What would happen if I stopped trying to control everything and just let life unfold? Because the truth is, peace isn't found in control. It's found in surrender. 10. Weaponizing gratitude. The most powerful mental shield. If there's one thing I've learned, it's this: gratitude changes everything. I know. You've heard it a million times before. Be grateful for what you have. But hear me out. Gratitude isn't just some fluffy, feel-good idea. It's a superpower. It literally rewires your brain, shifting your mindset from lack to abundance, from problems to blessings. I didn't fully understand this until I met an old man named Samuel. I was traveling in a small town when I met him. A man who had lost nearly everything. His wife had passed, his children had moved away, and he lived in a tiny, rundown house with barely enough to get by. Yet, he was the happiest person I'd ever met. Curious, I asked him, "How do you stay so positive despite everything you've lost?" He smiled and said, "Because I focus on what I still have." Then he pointed to the sun shining through his window. "That light? A gift." He held up his hands. "These? They still work. I can still hold a cup of tea." He took a deep breath. "This air? It's free. I get to breathe it every single day." I left that conversation changed. Because the truth is, we always have something to be grateful for, but we're so used to focusing on what's missing that we don't even see what's right in front of us. Gratitude is a weapon. It fights off negativity, fear, and self-pity. It reminds you that no matter what happens, there is always light to be found. I started practicing it intentionally. Every night before bed, I wrote down 3 things I was grateful for. At first, they were big things. My family, my health, my home. But as days passed, I started noticing the small things. The way my coffee tasted in the morning. The sound of laughter from a stranger. The warmth of my bed after a long day. And then something incredible happened. I became unshakable. Stress that used to consume me no longer held power over me. Minor inconveniences stopped feeling like disasters. Fear lost its grip because I was too busy being grateful for what I already had. Even science backs this up. Studies show that people who practice gratitude daily have lower levels of stress, better sleep, and even stronger immune systems. It's not magic. It's the power of where you choose to place your focus. So here's my challenge to you. For the next 7 days, before you go to bed, write down 3 things you're grateful for. They can be big or small. It doesn't matter. Just write them down. And then pay attention to how your world starts to shift. Because when you focus on the good grows. So tell me, what's something you're grateful for right now? Let's return to the storm metaphor. Life will test you. Unexpected losses, harsh words from others, moments of self-doubt. You can't control the storm, but you can choose how you respond. Today, we've explored 10 Buddhist principles that can help you build a mind that no storm can shake. A mind that remains peaceful amid chaos. Now, I want to leave you with this thought. What if the next time you faced hardship, instead of reacting, you simply observed? What if instead of resisting life, you flowed with it? What if you saw every challenge as an opportunity to strengthen your inner world? The choice is always yours. You can be at the mercy of circumstances, or you can cultivate the unshakable mind. If this message resonates with you, I encourage you to start small. Practice one of these principles today. Take a deep breath before reacting to negativity. Write down 3 things you're grateful for before bed. Little by little, these practices will reshape your mind, your emotions, and your life. What's one principle from today's video that you'll start applying? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your journey. If you found this video helpful, please like, comment, and share so more people can find peace and strength through these teachings. And of course, subscribe to Lotus Light Teachings for more wisdom on mindful living. Until next time, stay mindful, stay strong, and let your inner light shine.